statement on behalf of the land. I want to start my statement by telling everyone who will ever see this about the most amazing baby in the whole world. Jeremiah Xander Lee Estabrook was born on May 15, 2008. When I had my son, I became complete. I was adopted when I was a child, and the reason I had my son was because of the love I never received from my biological mom. I wanted to experience that kind of love. When I had Jeremiah, he made me whole. I read the book, What to Expect When Expecting, over and over again. I wanted to know everything that I could. I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of my baby in every possible way, even before he was born. I would pat his little butt through my belly, and I could feel him when he would relax and fall asleep. After he was born, I would pat his little butt, and if I stopped and he was not asleep, he would reach out and grab my hand and put it back on his butt, so I would keep patting him until he fell asleep. When he was asleep, I couldn't wait for him to wake up. I would sit there and stare at him, just waiting until he finally woke up. I would be so excited he was awake. Sometimes he would get scared when he woke up because I was right there with a big smile on my face. He would jump up like, whoa. Jeremiah was a water baby. He loved to take a bath. He would play in the water, and if I let him, he would be in the water for hours. He was my pride and joy. The best gift in the world was when I had him. My motivation in life was to give him what he needed. It didn't matter if I had to work late hours. If it was for my son, then I would do it. It didn't matter if I had to work 2 jobs. My son was going to have the things that he wanted. I don't have enough paper or enough time to tell you about all of his first. His first tooth, his first step, his first cold, the first time he said, Mom. Jeremiah made me complete. On July 30, 2010, Jeremiah was 2 years and 2 months old when he was murdered and taken from me forever. It's one thing for a mother to lose a child, but there is no mother in this room who can imagine what it is like to find out what the man you loved has murdered your only son. I don't think that anyone can ever understand what having your child taken from you like this is like. I'm supposed to give the statement to try to explain what kind of impact this has had on me. How does somebody put into words how it feels when the reason you have lived is now gone? How am I supposed to explain to you how my life has changed? I am desperately trying to pick up the pieces and find some sort of life for myself. I don't even know who I am without Jeremiah. He gave me purpose. Sometimes I don't even know if I was trying. Sometimes I don't even know if I want to try to find my life again. I wonder if it would be better off trying to keep living my life in a numb, safe place where nothing really matters anyways. My life has become a blur of sleep and work. I want to move on, but I don't know if I have the strength. Sometimes the emptiness is overwhelming and there are no words to describe it. Most of the time I don't fall asleep until 4 or 5 in the morning. There have been countless nights of every thought of what could have happened to him that day. When I dream about Jeremiah, I will make myself go back to sleep so that I can see him again. In that place, I can have him be alive again. There are times when I want to hold his ashes like it was still him. How can a mother explain what it's like to close your eyes and try your hardest to feel the warmth of your son through your memory? I would give anything to feel him alive again in my arms, because there are so empty without him. I am tormented by thoughts that go in circles. They come to where they are started only to start thinking about them all over again. I go through memories again and again to see if I should have seen something. Did I miss something? I live with feeling guilty because I am his mother. My tormenting thoughts scream at me that I am his mother and I should have been there. They accuse me in the middle of the night because I was not there to protect him. I can't stop myself from wondering over and over, what happened? I think about things like, did my son suffer? Did he cry for me? How could somebody do this to a baby? I try to shove my emotions from the surface where people can see them. I push them down inside and pretend that everything is okay. But inside my mind, I still think about my son every single day. It takes every single ounce of willpower to bury all the feelings of rage, anger, guilt, shame down on the inside so that nobody can see. I don't want to talk about that day. It makes me relive everything. Knowing the trial is coming up, writing the statement, and living through the anniversary has brought them all back to the surface again. It is making me relive the worst day of my life. I am being forced to open the memories of that day. How many more times will I have to relive the day my son was murdered? I do not let people see the pain that I have on the inside because I don't want my life to make them hurt. But this is still the memory I have to live with every day for the rest of my life. The memory of holding my dead son in a dark hospital room as the nurse begins to pull him from my arms. The memory of trying to hit her as I am thinking, he's right here. He's not gone. He just needs to start breathing. I look at other kids and I try to see Jeremiah in them. He would be about this age. He would be doing what they are doing right now. At the same time, it hurts to see and be around them because the pain just kills me inside. There are times when I see a family and I get jealous. I thought that I had that family, but it's all gone. My family has changed before Jeremiah. My family has changed. Before Jeremiah was born, our family was distant with each other. Jeremiah brought our family together again. He was the baby of the family, and everyone was so proud of him. Everyone is dealing with this in their own way, but it is like the one who held us together is gone. I wonder if we are all drifting apart again. My family have all had their lives shattered by this, yet we all act like life is okay and everything is good. Other than a close friend and a few family members, I don't trust people. I don't confide in them. I'm scared of what people will think. I've had a hard time believing people on what they say. When your child has been murdered, you lose the ability to trust and have faith in others. You lose your friends, you lose some family even. It's hard to go to work and build relationships when you have sudden outbursts of emotion and you want to constantly talk about your son. When someone asks you how old he is and you lie because you don't want to know that he's not here anymore. There are the people who will never understand the constant sadness and guilt you feel for being alive instead of your child. They think you should be over this by now and moving on with your life. How do you move on? How do you come to grips with the fact that your 2-year-old son has been murdered and just go on with yourself like everything is okay? My future children will never know their older brother. Other than his pictures, they will never know his face, his beautiful brown eyes, the smile that would light up the whole room. On the anniversary of my son's death, I went to work so upset that they called a counselor. I talked to the counselor on the phone and she asked if I'd be willing to talk to someone. I agreed because I thought I was going to sit down face to face with someone who would care, who would be able to help me understand. What I didn't realize was when I told them I wanted to take children home with me because my son was gone, they decided I was crazy. They had me committed to the hospital for 6 days until they realized I was not crazy. I just loved my son. I missed him more than they could imagine. I spent the anniversary of my son's death alone in the hospital room with a nurse watching me 24 hours on suicide watch. The hospital diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder and with major depressive disorder. I have so many questions that need to be answered, and there's only one person who can answer them. I want to know why. What happened that day? Why did you take my son? Why did you hide this from me? Why my son? Why not your kids? Why did you do this in the first place? What did he ever do to you? What gave you the impulse to get my son? A baby who can't defend himself or talk. Did it make you feel like more of a man? What were you thinking as you stood there in the hospital room watching me hold my dead son? You stood there and cried, my baby, and you knew you had killed him. I thought I had finally found the love of my life. You took the love I thought I found and turned it into fear, horror, guilt, shame, and anger. I finally trusted someone enough to fall in love with him and let my son call him Daddy. He loved you and broke his ribs the week before. He called you Daddy, and what did you do? You beat him to death. I trusted you with the one and only thing that mattered in my life, and you destroyed it. The week before, when I thought he was sick, you told me not to go to the doctor. You told me he would be okay. Your family said not to take him because they were worried about CPS being called. I figured you must be right. You have 2 of your own kids. Your family must know too. I trusted you and I trusted them, so I listened to you. I was sure that you knew more about kids than I did. It wasn't until the autopsy that I learned that he had broken ribs that were healing. That was why he was sick. It was not the flu or some regular cold. My son was hurting and in pain. He could not keep food down and would just throw it up back again. The whole time you knew what you had did to him. That didn't stop you from doing it again, only this time you killed him. What is hard to know is that you will still get to see your children. You will get to see them grow up. Because of what you did, your children will live without their father until they are adults. Because of what you did, your children will live with the memory of being in that apartment that day. Because of what you did, they will live with the memory of hearing what you did. They will live with the memory of seeing what you did, and they will always remember what they saw. They will always remember my son. They will always know Jeremiah for when they played with him and had fun. They will always remember when they will always remember when they were there as he was crying, as you did God knows what to him. They will always remember being there as he was taken as a lifeless body into an ambulance because of what you did. You have destroyed your own children by your own actions. I will always be the mother of a murdered 2-year-old. You will always be a man who beat to death a baby. Thank God.
All right, please be seated. All right, there being no further